Good evening, everybody. This is the Beef Brunch News Update, and today we are running with a skeleton crew. You got me, Trip Morgan, up here in the Northeast region, Vince Destel giving us the Central and Southwest Louisiana report, and Mr. Lee Falk bringing us home with the Northwest report. Guys, to get us kicked off today, it is July 8th, with the time this recording will be aired. We're recording today, July 7th, as normal. And to get us started, I'm going to pass it off to Mr. Vince.
Yeah, thank you, Trip and Lee. It's a pleasure to be here. I hadn't been on the last couple just due to conflicts, but yeah, it's as we were talking before we started recording, it's done become summertime for sure. It's we're reaching the middle 90s with heat indices and 100 plus degrees, and it's sure summertime in South Louisiana. Cattle are grazing at night and early in the mornings and heading for the shade for the balance of the day. And look, folks, it's important that our water troughs are full and clean and not leaking and not making a mud hole, because they're going to be searching a mud hole to lay in it for sure. If you have some less Brahmin influence type cattle, they're going to be looking for those watering holes to cool off in. So it's important to have good, clean, fresh, enough watering sources to get out there. Bulls, for the most part, are off for the spring breeding season, or have come off, and we'll be finishing that breeding season here shortly for those that go into April and May calving. But just remember, your bull battery is probably as important as the cow herd in all cases, because they need to be in a cool, dry place. I was reading an article about foot rot. We into kind of a wet spell in South and Central Louisiana. It's Trip and I were talking before we started recording it. They're looking at some rain up that way. We've been having some isolated spotty showers, no downpours to speak of, but where it is raining, it can give you an inch or two. I think Lafayette yesterday, right by the airport, they got right under 4 inches of rain in a downpour. So it just depends on where you're at. So with that being said, Central, South Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, there is no hay to speak of that has been put up yet. And that's a little bit concerning. Here we are, moving into mid-July next week, and the forecast is 50-60% chance of rain every day for the next 2 weeks. And that's concerning to those who haven't made any hay. And, that second and third cutting that we normally bank on in the fall to get some things cleaned up might be the only cutting. But here we are, it's hard to imagine. I was out on my place mowing some pastures over the weekend, and it's already, we thinking ryegrass already before long. So in another 60 days, you'll be prepping to put some ryegrass on the ground, and believe it or not, that time of the year is going to be here before we know it. So Lee normally covers the market. Markets are exuberantly high right now. So if you have things that you need to call, I say it every time I'm on here. Take advantage of the market, pay some bills, because if you're not taking advantage of what we have in front of us right now, there's no better time to do it. Hard to buy replacement females at the prices they are, but it's all relative. So if you buy Lee always says that cow-calf pairs and heavy bred cows are probably your best bang for your buck. They're trading in from 2,500 to 3,500, with calves selling at near 2,000, and in some cases over $2,000 at weaning, or shortly after weaning with a little background into them. That's real money, folks. And you 2.5 calves or 3 calves will pay for a good sound breeding piece to your herd. You need to take advantage of that. I know recently I had a situation, had a bull go down, and I had to find a late season bull to replace to finish the breeding season out, and that sucker was expensive, but I sold a bull that he was replacing. He brought half the money that bull cost me at the sale barn. So it's all relative. So make those wise investments, improve on genetics. They say that's the quickest way to improve your calf crop, is improving on genetics. If you can find those good genetic bulls out there, there's plenty of them out there. Everyone's using AI and embryo transfer these days to get those top end genetics to improve our cow herd, now our bull battery. So take advantage of those good ones when you find them, even though you got to pay up on them a little bit. So with that being said, just kind of wait and see on the hay deal. Hay fields. I talked to one producer earlier today. He's got some weed issues that he doesn't know where he's come from. He's been in the hay business 40 years. He's just trying to identify how to capitalize on treating that field for that particular weed. And it's a weed we haven't seen ever. So he was asking if it was a contribution from the drought or from the snow and ice event we had back in January. So I said, I think it's a combination of two. The ground cracked open in the drought of 23, and then that ice event did some weird things. So I don't know. It's we seeing some awfully strange things going on in our hay fields. Lots of weeds. Stem maggots is another issue. We're seeing quite a bit of that. Typically, we see that in stress situations, slow growing, fields that are not doing well. So be mindful of that. And Trip and I were visiting about that before we started recording. Treating for stem maggots is very tricky if you can do it at all. The typical recommendation is some type of residual insecticide that's 7 to 10 days after cutting. But will the residual last till that next cutting at 28 to 45 days? Probably not. But the answer is cut it off and treat it if you can, if the weather will permit, and allow you to do those make those cuttings and get that hay put up. So with that being said, it's kind of mundane here in the central and south part of Louisiana. There's plenty of grass out there right now. Cattle are fat. Calves are growing well. And anticipation that looked at the futures market earlier today, and man, it's high. So just wait and see. And when we get that spring calf crop going in the fall to market, it's still going to be good. So with that being said, I'll close out, and if we can address any issues you might have in South and Central Louisiana, please look at your local extension agent to do those things for you. We have one in pretty much every parish, so make sure you're making those contacts if you have questions or concerns that you feel like we can help you with. So with that, Trip, I'm going to close it out.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Vance. And as always, that was a wonderful report. A lot of good information in there. A few housekeeping things before we bail off into the Northeast Louisiana report. Typically, Dr. Ashley Edwards does our intro, and when she's gone, typically Miss Brittany Zombrecker does the intro. Those ladies make the intro look a lot easier than it actually is. It's tough to remember the words you're supposed to say to get this thing kicked off. So jumping into the Northeast region update, I want to tell everybody I hope y'all had a happy 4th of July. I made it back with all 10 fingers. That's always a plus. 32 years straight and not losing a digit. We got a good run going on with 4th of July. I really enjoy the 4th of July holiday because it's a time when we get family together. We get to celebrate this amazing country that we're all blessed to get to live in, the greatest country on earth. And we get to celebrate that by grilling a lot of beef. A lot of beef gets sold for the 4th of July holidays. As far as weekend events and holidays goes, it's probably the one that moves the needle the most as far as our consumer demand for beef goes. Across the country, we're in peak grilling season, so those cuts like hamburger or steaks, sirloins, ribeyes, tri-tip, briskets, pretty well across the board, a lot of beef gets sold in anticipation of and ahead of the 4th of July holiday. So that's a wonderful boom for our business right there on the retail side of things. The Morgan family, we got to hang out and we grilled burgers and spent time together, and that's really what we enjoy doing the most. Coming out of the weekend, though, it was not all good news. I'm sure you're all aware of the happenings in Central Texas there with the overflow of the Llano and the Guadalupe rivers. Saw a time lapse of it, just how quickly those water systems in that part of the country change, and the devastation that can unfold from that is hard to wrap your mind around. We're in a state that's very accustomed to natural disasters, but typically we don't see flash flooding events of that magnitude. As of 12 o'clock on July 7th, the death toll I saw was 91 confirmed losses due to the flooding event, the historic catastrophic flooding event there in Central Texas. And in the fair state of the west of us, we just want y'all to know that our hearts are breaking right alongside y'all. And still don't even have the words to sum up that event. There is an agricultural impact to that, of course, but it's been largely and rightfully overshadowed by the historic loss of life with that event. So our thoughts and prayers are with our brothers to the west of us. Moving on to the home front. Here in Union Parish, guys, it has begun to get pretty dry. It's raining outside my window right now. I don't know if you can hear that through the screen or not, but we're getting a pretty good shower in Union Parish right now, and it was well needed. We had gone from being pretty wet all spring and into the summer to borderline getting into some droughty conditions. If we don't pick up a little bit more rain today and a few rains over the next few days, it's going to be getting pretty dry in northeast Louisiana. I've been as far east as West Carroll Parish recently, and pretty well the whole way between here and there. It's starting to get a little bit dusty, so some of these showers in the forecast might do us some favors as far as keeping things rocking from a moisture and forage growth standpoint. Having said that, this break in the weather has allowed some people to actually get in their first cut in the hay. We have a few producers that are looking at their second and have even started their second, guys that have been wrapping hay early in the spring. But we have a pretty good number of producers across Northeast Louisiana having fired a cutter up for the first time for a myriad of different reasons, whether it be equipment failures or poor timing on the weather patterns, you name it. A lot of first round hay still standing in the country, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll be getting that out. Like Vince said, we are in prime Louisiana summertime right now. It is hotter than blue blazes, and we have enough rain chances every day for the next 3 weeks to make anyone nervous to bust off a hay cutter. We got pretty good weather, with the exception of the rain that's falling right now. We've had pretty good weather the last several days to get a little bit picked up, but even though it's been hot and the ground's dry and it hasn't been raining, the humidity hasn't yielded or lended itself to being prime drying conditions. Vince alluded to something that we're facing in the Northeast region, and Lee might have seen it some in the Northwest. I've seen more Bermuda grass stem maggots to this point in the summer than I can remember seeing. And it's been pretty well across the gamut from Franklin Parish all the way up to Union Parish. I'm seeing good number of Bermuda grass stem maggots here, there, and yonder. From a treatment standpoint, Vince alluded to the fact there's no really good magic bullet for it. Honestly, control methods are probably best handled by picking different varieties whenever you refresh hay fields and getting cuttings out on time. They like that the more fine stem varieties of hay, the more coarse stemmed Bermuda grass plants, they don't tend to fool with quite as much. Since our last news update, I've noticed region-wide an uptick in hornfly pressure. Typically, about this time of the summer is whenever we start seeing our hornfly numbers starting to increase, and that'll continue on into the fall. We've talked about hornflies who are blue in the face on this program. The best thing you can do is be sure you're changing chemical classes whenever it's appropriate. Producers oftentimes will wind up jump from one pyrethroid right back into another pyrethroid because they think they've changed the chemical class when all they've done was change the active ingredient. And you can jump from pyrethroid to pyrethroid without actually changing classes. Just because you're changing the active ingredient doesn't mean you're changing the classes. So if you ever have a question on that, or you want us to look at a label with you, to ensure that you are in fact changing chemical classes when appropriate, reach out to your local extension office. We're more than happy to look over that with you. And guys, that is pretty well everything I wanted to discuss today on the Northeast region update. Without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to Mr. Lee Falk.
Well, thank you, Trip and Vince. Glad to be with you all here today. I'm having some technical issues, and so I hope you will bear with me. I hope y'all can hear me all right, and everything. It's good to be here. Like Vince, I missed the last couple, and I apologize for that. Had a lot going on. We've been on the road quite a bit, but after July 1, we're trying to get back in the swing of things, get back into routine. Been a lot of spotted rain, spotted thunderstorms that have rolled through northwest Louisiana. Depending on where you're at, you may have been inundated, or you may be a little bit on the drier side, and that's typical weather pattern, of course, for our part of the world. This gets to be this time of the year, and sometimes even neighbors want to be really wet and have a lot of rainfall, and the other one be just dry as a desert. It's just part comes with the territory and everything. Just as far as hay goes, there's been quite a bit of hay made in northwest Louisiana. and there's been a significant amount get wet. A lot of folks have cut hay, anticipating some good drying condition, only to see the forecast change, or these pop-up showers and thunderstorms roll in and really take a toll on that. So there's been a lot of wet hay made. I think there's going to be some rank hay, like Vince said, some overly mature Bermuda grass out there. People that are waiting for just the ideal forecast to cut, and it's just not presenting itself and everything. But I don't think Northwest Louisiana is not in as bad a shape on that goes as around Vince's country and everything. And I do think as a whole, our region, Northwest Louisiana, has gotten maybe a touch more rain than what Tripp's part corner of the world has experienced and everything. Hot's the word though here, just like what Vince was stated. It's been powerfully hot in Northwest Louisiana, and that's really curtailed a lot of the cattle working, other than people penning cattle to maybe wean some calves. I know there's still some maybe some late fall. They're really winter-born calves still out there on cows, and some of those are making their way into town and being marketed as far as that goes. And the markets were mostly closed last week in observance with the fourth. The fourth on these holidays that jump around, as far as what day of the week they are, it's kind of difficult to anticipate what some livestock markets are going to do as far as when they're going to close and everything. I didn't notice. I believe that the Oklahoma National Stockyard are closed today, in observance of the fourth and everything. But in regards to Louisiana markets, they were mostly closed last week. But the week before that, really strong markets, really vibrant and stout markets. I'm running out of words, folks. I'm being honest with you. I'm having mental fatigue because the markets have been so good. We've overcome so many challenges in the last couple of months, things that would have normally knocked this market in the head, that would have really pulled the rug out from under us, and we've been able to overcome that and move on. So it's kind of interesting to see as we move forward what the future of the markets hold is, especially as like Vince was talking about, we move into the fall and these spring-born calves start to find their way to town and find their way to marketing. I don't have a market report for you guys today. Remember, I was alluding to the technical difficulties with my computer. I'm still having technical difficulties with it, and but also that combined with the lack of market data last week is we're without one again this week. So it's going to be curious to find out how our local markets respond starting this week. As Tripp mentioned, we record this on Monday afternoon, and we know that there's some sale barns getting kicked off regionally and everything. And by the time this airs, we'll have a better indication of cash market direction locally as far as what the month of July is going to hold for us. So really seeing some fly numbers really start to increase all across the state, I would venture, like that said, and the importance, folks, of switching up that active ingredient on fly control is so important. So we need to take care of that. Other than that, it looks like we're headed into a wet stretch once again on this summer, and looks like it's going to be plenty of grass out there through the growing season. We just hope we can get a little bit of hay made, and I will quit rambling and turn it over to Tripp so he can close us.
Thank you very much, Lee. We do not have any updates or announcements for our upcoming program. We have several things that we are planning to announce in the very near future, so stay tuned. Other than that, we hope you all have a wonderful week and look forward to seeing you next time on the Beef Brunch Podcast.